Whenever the subject of race comes up, especially when it comes to biracial or mixed people, primarily the admixture of black and white, I often hear and read comments from people saying, "You are whatever your father is." I've read comments stating, "There's no such thing as mixed race. You are whatever your father is." So if you happen to be half black and half white, and your father is black, then you are black. But what if you're biracial with a black mother and a white father? Apparently, all of a sudden, you're actually white. So that brings into question people like Bob Marley. Bob Marley has a black Jamaican mother and a white father from Wales. By those rules, Bob Marley is apparently white. Now, Bob Marley doesn't look like any white man I've ever seen. I can't imagine Bob Marley being able to walk into a Ku Klux Klan convention and fit in without anyone saying, "Bruh." This rule of you are whatever your father is actually comes from the Bible. And as you know, with some people, if it's in the Bible, then it must be true. If you were to read Numbers chapter 1, verse 30, I'll paraphrase greatly, it says that children will be whatever tribe their father is, regardless of their mother. This is not actually referencing race, though, but instead, it's talking about tribes, nationality, and so forth. So that Bible verse actually has nothing to do with race whatsoever. The Bible may mention lineage, nationality, tribes, and whatnot, but it never actually makes any direct reference to race itself. There are a lot of cultures that do this. If your dad happens to be a particular nationality, then regardless of your mother, you are that nationality also. But in the same breath, there are cultures that say you are whatever your mother is. But again, they're not talking about race. Even in Jewish tradition, you can only be born Jewish if your mother is Jewish, regardless of your father. And again, this is about religion, not race. Some people say, the man carries the seed, so of course you will be whatever your father is. If you plant an apple seed, you'll get an apple tree. If you plant a lemon seed, you'll get a lemon tree. Good point. Or is it? Some people don't know very much about botany, which is the study of plants. There actually is such a thing in botany as hybrid seeds. A hybrid seed is a seed produced by cross-pollinated plants, two completely different plants. Hybrid seeds are extremely common, and a large amount of food we eat is actually the result of cross-pollination. Carrots, squashes, melons, tomatoes, cucumbers, broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts, who in the world eats Brussels sprouts, I don't know. But those are just a few hybrids. Mixed race fruit and vegetables, anybody? So to say if you plant an apple seed, you'll get an apple tree is correct. But that's like saying if a white woman has a child with a white man, she'll get a white child. Well, yeah, generally that is the rule of thumb, unless you have what is known as atavism or a genetic throwback. But that's a whole different video for a whole different time. But if you planted a seed that was cross-pollinated by two different plants, you might get something different. But let's address the phrase, the father carries the seed. Let's stick to the botanic side for a moment, since we're comparing plants and humans. Whenever someone says to me, the father carries the seed, I laugh, because by simple logic, that's incorrect. A seed is the equivalent to a fertilized egg. And who carries a fertilized egg? That's right, the woman. So really the phrase should be the mother carries the seed, because she, in fact, does. We're going to go back to school for a moment. How do plants reproduce? Since people want to compare humans to plants. Firstly, plants reproduce via asexual reproduction, which means they only need themselves, minus a little help from a bee or some wind. No, not that kind of wind. So the stamen, which is the male part of the flower, makes pollen. So pollen would be the equivalent of sperm. So maybe you should say the father produces the pollen. So a bee might come along and get covered in pollen. Bukkake, anybody? Angel, that's disgusting. Sorry, my bad. Then the bee will move along to the pistil, which is the female part of the plant. Yeah, the pistil. You get it. And at the bottom of the pistil is an ovary, which you guessed it, produces unfertilized egg cells. So the bee moves the pollen from the stamen to the pistil, and then the pollen fertilizes the egg cell. Quick question. Why do they call it the birds and the bees? Because I've never seen birds and bees get it on. Let's get it on. Anyway, I digress. A plant seed is then created, which essentially is an embryo. And then eventually the seed will land on the floor and into the soil and grow. So the soil is the equivalent of the womb. So no, men do not carry the seed because a seed is a fertilized egg or an embryo. So if we're using plants, we should say men produce the pollen, women produce the egg cells, together they create a seed, and the woman's womb is the soil. But Angel, we're not plants. I know this. But since people want to use plants to prove their point, we might as well correct them. So now we've got that out the way. Let's get back to the you are whatever your father is. We've addressed that it's not actually talking about race, but more so nationality and tribes. But what if your mother is black and your father is half black and half white, but your father's dad happened to be white? Does that make you white simply because you have a white grandfather? I mean, it wouldn't make sense. You're 3/4 black and 1/4 white, but you're white because your biracial dad had a white dad? Huh. But where do we draw the line? I mean, if you're whatever your father is, at what point is it no longer applicable? Look at these images, for example. Let's imagine this black guy has a child with a white woman. They have a child who is half black. But by the you are whatever your father is rule, their biracial child is black. Okay, some people can accept that. Now, what if the half black guy now has a child with a white woman and they have a kid that's 3/4 white and 1/4 black? Is that kid also black? Because I mean, his dad, although biracial, was classified as black simply because his dad was black. Now, what if Mr. Quarter Black has a child with a white woman and produces a child that is an eighth black? And then Mr. Eighth Black has a child with a white woman and produces a child that is only 6% black. Is that kid still black? I mean, remember the you are whatever your father is rule, right? Are they all black simply because they all trace to a black man on their paternal side? So at what point do you draw the line? I can't imagine a person that is 6% white and 94% black saying they're white simply because all the men on their paternal side traced back to an old white dude. Think about it. But as I said, some cultures believe you are whatever your mother is, but they're not actually talking about race. Peace, love, and coconut oil.
Hey man, that's racist. Please remember that from now on, brand new never before seen videos, as well as live streams, will only be available on my website, ikyg.com, via a Patreon subscription. ikyg.com is a Black-owned, Black-ran platform, 100% free from censorship. It's the only place where we don't have to worry about what we say and expressing ourselves. Make sure you check out the description and the comment section for important links, as well as information in video form that shows you what benefits you get when you support the site and join my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe and be notified every time I upload a video. For exclusive content and perks, check out my Patreon. This is where we have private live streams, group chats, live Q&As, live phone calls, and open topics. This is a safe space where you can interact with other like-minded people, make friends, send each other direct private messages, and so much more without any trolls. And yes, you get to use GIFs and images in the live chats. So what are you waiting for? This is a completely independent website, free from censorship. If you'd like to make a donation towards the site so we can continue to put out the truth without fear of being silenced, then please hit that donation button. It's greatly appreciated. Check out the rest of the site for videos, private and public live streams, find out all the tea, and make sure to utilize the Black Money section of the website. Advertise your business absolutely free to people that look like you, free forever. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at angel_IKYG.